Hello, kia ora, and welcome to the Creative Matters podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with artists from Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm your host, Mandy Jakic. Good morning and a very, very happy new year to you. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you have a fantastic year ahead. This is episode 103, and I'm speaking with Tanja McMillan, also known as Misery. Tanja is an Australian-born painter, sculptor, photographer and mural artist living in Tāmaki Makaurau Auckland. Her creative reach is extensive, ranging from highly crafted fine art paintings and wall art to animation and fashion. Tanja's work under the name Misery graces streets and galleries in Aotearoa, New Zealand and around the world. She has collaborated with New Zealand and international designers and brands such as Blunt, Casio Baby-G, Telecom, Serato and Anna Sui of New York. In this episode, we hear about how Tanja entered the graffiti world as a teenager, how she connected with her graffiti crew TMD, and how her artist name Misery came about. Tanja talks about her collaborations with brands and gives some really great advice on how to get yourself out there and show the world what you do. Tanja dives deep into Misery Land, and it is so good. She shares how the characters and worlds she creates develop and what or who they represent, and why she often personifies plants and objects in her work. She tells a wonderful story about the making of her 2 bronze sculptures in Karangahape Road, which is in Auckland. We chat about how deadlines work for her, a week in the life of Misery, and how she juggles motherhood with her creative brain. It was so lovely to meet Tanja and hear all about her incredible practice, and I know you're going to enjoy the very first episode of 2024. Hi Tanja.
Hi Mandy.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
It's so nice to see you.
Thank you for having me here. It's just like absolute paradise.
Oh, look, it's just paradise today. There's not a breath of air at Mural, and it's sunny and there's no humidity.
No, it's perfect. There's kingfishers flying around and sun is shining. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And I've just found out that you did actually live in Mural for a while growing up.
I did. Yeah. I was born in Australia, in Queensland, in a little country town called Maryborough, which is sort of near Bundaberg, if you're familiar with ginger beer or rum. And then I grew up in Brisbane with my mum and my sister and my dad and our family till I was 12. And we had this quite hectic year where my grandmother, who I was also very close to, my mum's mum, was sick with cancer. So we had this quite wild year of all of her family from Tahiti coming over and us trying to look after her, and it was a hectic time. And after that year, after she passed away, my mum decided that we just all needed a break and she needed a life change, and my mum and dad split up, and mum took us here to New Zealand to connect with our Kiwi family and basically have a holiday for a year. But we ended up just being so connected to New Zealand and loving it here so much, so we ended up staying, and we lived in Takapuna or Belmont when we first got here, and we were kind of like, I felt very sort of out of place there, like beautiful place, but I was still so young. I felt like quite a baby, and then getting lumped into Takapuna High School, it was quite shocking.
Takapuna Grammar, yeah, wow.
Takapuna Grammar, yeah, it was a bit much for me. And And I'd been out to Mural with a friend I made there, and I went home and I was like, Mum, this place is like amazing. And we had a sleepover at her friend's house out here. So then we discovered Mural and we came out here for some visits, and my mum just absolutely fell in love with it. So we ended up buying a little batch on Domain Crescent. It was the pink house back then. We used to call it the Pink Palace. One of those classic like pastel pink coloured cubey sort of 50s batches.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, so we moved here when I was about 14, and I had that house up until 2010, I think it was.
That's amazing. I never realised that.
Out here.
Yeah, how beautiful.
I've got a huge place in my heart for Mural. It's just very special.
Yeah, it's the kind of place that really gets under people's skin for some reason.
Yes.
Either that or people just don't connect to it, and
I think so.
leave.
I think you come here and you have either a really deep connection and it's your place, and that's certainly how it is or was for us.
Yeah, how beautiful. Okay. And I did actually meet you, I don't know if you remember, but with Donna Hansen and Anna Hansen from the Mural Arts team. Yeah. I met you when you were here on a mini residency for the Mural Arts show. Yeah.
That was so beautiful. Yeah. What an amazing spot. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and you made some work to put in the show. Yes. Yeah, so that was a while ago, I think, probably 8 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, my daughter Billy was a baby then, so it would have been. She turned 8 in October, so about 7 or 8 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, that was my first and only residency I've ever done.
Really? And it was like a sort of pretend residency in a way.
Pretend residency / wonderful holiday.
Come and make some work.
It was great. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. And so it's lovely to reconnect, and a very big warm welcome to the Creative Matters podcast, and thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
So your mum was is a creative person, and your great grandmother, it was amazing with her work that she did with the Auckland Civic Theatre, is that right?
So my mother's grandmother her father's mum.
Oh, right.
She was an incredible artist, and she did a lot of commercial art. That was sort of her career when she was around. So I think she did things like the Choicer tea label and stuff that I really remember is her beautiful illustrations for the Civic Theatre. There's one that my grandfather's got, and it must be for a ballet or something, and it's sort of got the classic Civic velvety curtains, and then all these characters, ballerinas and things in costumes all kind of floating down, and I just remember seeing that when I was a little kid, and it always sort of stuck in my mind. But yeah, she was a phenomenal artist and very good at watercolours, and I think my mum spent quite a bit of time with her in Titirangi when she was growing up, and I think she definitely inspired or sparked Mum's creative drive as well. Yeah, they have lots of beautiful memories together.
That's really special, isn't it?
It is.
It's lovely for generations to pass things down like that.
It's so important. Yeah.
And you would have gained a lot from that as well.
Yeah, I didn't really know Grandma like super well because she was always in New Zealand, and we were in Australia, and then she was probably only alive for a little bit longer when we got here. But yeah, absolutely. Like, we always felt sort of quite fantastical of thinking of her over here. She always seemed quite proper and had that sort of English accent, like a little bit posh. So I used to think of her as being this sort of, she's quite tall, striking woman and very strong, out there with her watercolours and charcoal, and she was a horse rider lady. Yeah, very strong personality.
That's really cool. So how did you discover your passion for drawing and creating as a child?
Well, I think that from being around my family, like that was always sort of a given that my mum and also her mother, my meme, were very creative and all painters, and mum has always sewn and made crafts and costumes and things like that. So it was always sort of around. But when I was little, I was always quite a very shy, introverted, like happy and peaceful, but quite introverted kid, and always felt a bit anxious and awkward around other children in some way. So making art and drawing, I just always felt very comfortable, and that was like my happy place and my way to express myself. So I'd always done it, and it was always around us growing up. So it was just sort of a no-brainer that that's what I do. But when I started primary school, and we'd do like art class competitions and things like that, and I would often win, and that's when I was like, oh, maybe I'm actually okay at this, So I think that helped me. I don't know, just gave me a little bit of direction, or gave me confidence in doing it. And I've just always loved making things, not just drawings, like just anything, Play-Doh, whatever.
Yeah.
Like kids' craft. Even now that I've got little daughters, like going back to making stuff that you do when you're a child is just so freeing and liberating and fun. And the best ideas come out of that sometimes.
Yeah. And allowing yourself to play.
Yeah. And to play. Yeah. So it's just always been a huge part of my life. And I always knew when I was younger that when I'd become an adult, I would do something creative, like be an artist, or was quite interested in fashion or photography or something like that. Yeah. So
That's
I guess
great.
like I kind of became more serious about it when we moved to New Zealand, and I was having a miserable time at Takapuna Grammar. And we were living out here, and Mum found Auckland Metropolitan College, which was the alternative high school in Mount Eden. And this is a small school, 120 kids, and you just do your core subjects. And then if there's specific things that you're into, you can kind of excel or study those a little more. So that was just wonderful for me, because I pretty much just lived in the art room 24/7 and met a whole lot of other people that were, I guess, a little bit more similar to how I exist in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really nice and refreshing, and just so cool to be around other really creative kids that were so extremely driven to do their thing.
Yeah, that must have been so motivating.
It was.
And to have a school like that, I mean, I really just feel like schools need to make some sort of shift. Like they've been stuck in mud for the last sort of 50 years with hardly any changes, high schools especially. And to me, that's the way that education should be, giving children, a bit more of a chance to self-direct.
I think so. I also think like secondary school is a really strange space, because you sort of go to primary. I didn't have intermediate in Australia, but we just did primary up until high school. But you kind of like get nurtured and looked after, and a little, not babied, but you're very loved at primary school and pushed in a beautiful, positive way. And then high school's sort of like you're in trouble all the time and you're bad, we're the authority figures and you've got to be below us. And then when you go to university, it's completely different. So I feel like a little bit sad for high school students, because it is a strange space. You're already going through so much, figuring out who you are and all your wild hormones changing anyway.
Exactly. It's such a strange thing, isn't it?
It is. But I totally agree with you. I think there needs to be a massive shift.
Hopefully there will be at some stage.
Yeah.
But one radical thing I've noticed is the art boards, which I always thought was quite strange that they still had that sort of 3 boards for NCEA. And I've just learned that they are now opening that up to be entered as a digital portfolio.
Yes.
And this digital sort of portfolio is not necessarily digital work. It's just presenting it digitally.
With digital. Okay.
Yeah. So it can be
paintings. That is
and
amazing.
whatever, but showing sort of, you actually enter it as a digital portfolio, but not necessarily digital work. So just, to me, it opens up the potential for what kids can be making. Yeah, which is good. That's a step in the right direction.
Yes, not limited to a board.
Yeah.
That's so
which is
good.
so restrictive, isn't it? Like actually having to make a size just purely because it fits.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress. Let's get back to you. So Auckland Metropolitan College was obviously very instrumental in your sort of artistic career and really helped you to meet your people. And then you've had such a long association with some of the friends that you made at college.
Yes, it's funny to think that, that was such a long time ago now, but there's a few people I met there that have been such important sort of role models and peers and have really, I suppose, helped direct my career or the way that I've gone with my artwork. Yeah, so it was through going to Metro that I met my friends that were into graffiti art, probably especially Elliot O'Donnell, whose graffiti name is Askew, and all of his friends. He was incredibly obsessed with graffiti art back then. He still is, and just such a promoter of street art and graffiti, and was always sort of on my case, like, come and paint these characters you're doing out on the street. I kind of really didn't know anything about that art scene, but I found it very intriguing and thought it was quite crazy and wild that people were like so obsessed with this art form and willing to like risk getting caught and, you know, going to jail and you know, getting chased by police dogs. So I was like, I'll just come out and watch and experience what you're all up to. But I loved it. It was so liberating and fun and free. And I think at that time, that was like 95, 96, there was lots of really raw tagging and bombing and sort of wrecking style of graffiti in Auckland. So it was very frowned upon, and I would just go out and paint with a big bottle of Indian ink and my brush and do my characters. And eventually I moved into spray paint, but I think that I've always felt most comfortable with a brush and ink. That's me. But yeah, I had this sort of quite lovely response to what I was doing, I guess, because it was a little bit more feminine and cute and pleasant to look at and not so scrawly and aggressive.
Yeah, not as offensive for certain parts of
yeah,
society.
That's right. So I was lucky in that respect that people seemed to like it and they started to recognise these characters with the name Misery, which is, I don't know, I thought that was funny too. But Elliot was like, you need to have a tag name and it should be Misery. Yeah, I remember we had like an argument once and we weren't friends for a few weeks, and he decided he was taking the name back and he gave it to my younger sister.
Really?
You can be Misery.
Oh, no.
But it's all right. I got it back.
That sounds very, it could be a problem.
It could have been a problem.
Funny. And the Misery name, I mean, was that just part of that kind of graffiti art, street art, where you needed to have a name?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I guess graffiti is all about getting up and everyone seeing your name, and, you know, and it started in New York in the late 70s, 80s, and it was all about getting your name up on a train or up high so the whole city could see it. So, of course, Auckland's really different to New York in the 80s, but that's the whole thing with that form of art. So, and it's also about the letters. So, Misery has quite cool letters to draw or paint.
And then you
graffiti.
put Misery, you wrote Misery next to each.
Yeah, I just sign it underneath.
Yeah. So it's sort of, it's an interesting idea, isn't it? That it's like you are naming it as yours, but you're also trying to kind of stay undercover.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So people could track you down potentially. So do you, at that time, do you actually kind of want to keep it quite a secret that you're not actually Misery?
To outsiders, to people that aren't in that art realm, then yes, you'd want to keep it a secret.
It's quite cool, isn't it? It just adds a whole other dimension.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened after that? You started working, and it does feel a little bit, I don't know if this feels like an insult or a compliment for you, but it has that little bit of Banksy about it, that it's sort of a black outline drawing that sort of appears. And because Banksy, sometimes his work's quite friendly too, isn't it? It's quite sort of cutesy and appealing maybe to children.
Yeah, that's so true.
So, do you ever see yourself along those lines?
Not really. I don't know. I think I get what you mean, definitely, where it's more, definitely appealing to a wider range of people. And I think that my work has that probably, and the graphicness of it, especially the ink kind of work, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And where did you go from there? Obviously that was something that you were doing while you were at high school. How long did that continue, and where did you go?
Okay, so I started painting after doing all the characters and things, and I got more involved in like painting murals and doing sort of bigger works on the wall with our graffiti crew and stuff. So it's always just, I think, continued to be a part of what I do. But I think at that time I was sort of quite into taking photos, and I thought that's what I would end up doing with my life. So when I actually studied at AUT when I left high school for a year, and that was to do photography. But it was the certificate, like the first year of your visual arts degree, but you kind of have a taster of everything. So I think I just sort of knew I wanted to take photos. I kind of wanted to learn more practical skill, and it was probably more like introducing us to conceptual ideas and how to talk about our work and building a process. And I just wasn't interested at that time. I was kind of like, I don't want to do this. I'm just going to go work in my own studio. And I rebelled a little bit from that. I did really enjoy it, and I think that I would really love to go back and do that later in life. Now that, I don't know.
You'd have a whole different approach. And it's hard coming out of high school when you've had all that sort of schooly stuff going on. You're kind of ready for a break.
That's so true. So I did that for a year, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. So I ended up going back to Australia and studying photography, just an intensive course for a year, which was great. And then through doing that, I'd also become friends with Martin Emond, who is a comic artist, amazing comic artist here in Auckland, and him and Steve Hodge had started Illicit Clothing. So I was doing these little drawings. It was actually, I think I was staying with my auntie, and she had Illustrator on her computer, so I was there for holidays. I mucked around in that and made these characters, and that became the first T-shirt designs that I did with Illicit, and they kind of just took off. And that was quite nice, actually, that all happening here while I was in Australia. And then when I came back, I was like, oh, this is all working quite well. And we started doing these Illicit art group shows, which were really great. And it was sort of a mixture of, I guess, pop art, like comic art and some graffiti sort of stuff, and that kind of Californian lowbrow art style, I suppose. So that was really nice for me. I felt like I fit into this genre of art quite well, and it was nice meeting and interacting with people that were doing similar things or excited about similar kind of work. Because I always have felt sort of on the outside of the fine art world, I suppose, and maybe that's the kind of being raised in that sort of graffiti street kind of environment and just having to DIY everything. It's like sort of deeply rooted in me, I think, this kind of feeling of, I guess it's a rebelliousness kind of feeling, or just doing it your own way.
Yeah, not so mainstream. Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How, I mean, it's such a lovely community, isn't it? The street art graffiti community.
Yeah.
It seems really super supportive. And
it is now. It didn't used to be like
Oh, really?
It used to be very like political, and nobody very competitive, and nobody really liked each other. But now I think that's everywhere. I feel like people are starting to become more supportive of each other
and more open.
Be more open.
Yeah, I wonder why that's changed.
I don't know.
It's good.
But I'm happy about it.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
So I keep going off track. So I came back here, started working with Illicit, doing the art shows, and then I guess I started doing the clothing with Illicit. So the Misery t-shirt range kind of went well, and then we decided to do a whole Misery boutique clothing range, which was quite an incredible time. Like, it really felt like everything was moving and fast forward, and I suppose at that time I kind of just left the idea of doing photography. It just got pushed to the side, and this whole thing with the clothes was taking off. Yeah, I think the characters had always been there. Like, they were sort of similar to what I was doing through high school, and it's interesting how they all change depending on what's going on in my life. So I've always done these characters, like always these little girls. And if you look at like my old books from when I'm a teenager, they're all very insecure and shy and really dark. And then when I get to like the Misery clothing kind of era, they all become quite sexy and pin-uppy and super girly and a little bit more confident and sassy. Where are they now? Yeah, so I don't know, it's really interesting to look at.
Yeah, and I guess it is a reflection of you, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah, it is. So, yeah, I did the clothing for a while, and then that was just so fast paced, and I think I got a bit burnt out through that too. But lots of great opportunities happened through doing that, lots of travel and being able to exhibit overseas through making the clothes. And so I did all the artwork for the clothing, and then we had a wonderful designer, Christine Leung, who would make the clothing, so we'd all collaborate to do that. So that was, I guess, from early 20s to when I was about 25, 26, and that was just super, like, really taking off. And that it allowed me to do a lot of travel and opened up a lot of opportunities overseas, which was incredible. I think in the end I was just a little bit sort of burnt out by doing all the clothing, and I had some trademark issues with our brand, and that for me was just sort of the last straw. I was just like, I'm so over it, I'm done. And I guess in hindsight it was great because I'm probably just meant to be an artist, and I've always deep down known that. And I was feeling very torn about, I guess, just prioritizing commercialism and putting all my energy into that space instead of creating and being an artist. So that was a bit of a wild time, and I don't regret it. I learnt so much from what happened, and it's helped shaped the way I go now. So it's all been important and valid.
Yeah, part of the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you made that important decision, which I guess was quite a pivotal moment in your career, to become a full-time artist.
Yeah. I think I've always struggled to be a full-time artist though, but that was very much the pivotal point of like, no, this is not right. I still need to just give it a chance and be an artist. And I don't know what that is, but I've always had this thing where I feel like art is like this sort of precious thing, and then I need to make money some other way on the side. So I think I've always felt like the need to do these other little commercial side businesses, but I really don't. I think since having children, that's become very clear. When your time becomes very limited, and your window to create is not so carefree and massive anymore, you really have to just go with what feels completely true and right for you.
Yeah. And were you concerned that you weren't going to be able to make enough money with your own practice at that stage?
Yes.
And that's why you felt like you needed to hold on to the commercial.
Definitely a self-esteem and confidence thing, I think, as well. Like I always felt like, I need to do these other things or have a manager, or I need this other person to help me, where I didn't. It was just a confidence thing, I believe. Yeah.
And at that stage, was it difficult for you to kind of figure out where you wanted to sit within the art world, because you'd sort of been part of that graffiti community, and then the more commercial community? Was it hard for you to kind of figure out which way you were heading, or did you have a path in your head?
I think I felt fine about it. I think that, like, from the success of the clothing and just from building the Misery brand, I suppose, for such a long time, and it always sort of worked. And I don't know how. I think it's just the energy you put into it. And if you believe it's going to work, it just sort of seems to ripple out somehow. So I always sort of felt fine about that. I don't know what it is. I think it's just a general artist's way of being, that very like tormented, torn, like, can I do it? Like total self-doubt and then absolute self-belief the next day. It's such a roller coaster.
And the imposter syndrome.
It's just super annoying.
But it's so great that you've built this brand really from when you were a teenager.
Yeah,
and you just kept building, and it's so
been
cohesive.
Amazing. It is. And what I'm finding now is like people that were sort of teenagers around the time I was doing Misery Boutique, or at uni or something, that all really connected with it. Now they're growing up and adults, and they still want to commission work, or it still has such a huge place in their hearts, which is super lovely as well. They've sort of followed the journey with me. Yeah, it's really lovely.
Yeah. And what was your artwork like at that time when you were focusing more on making art?
What was it like? I was very into, I guess, more storytelling after I kind of broke away from doing the clothing. So the characters always felt very solitary, just these solo characters with little bits and pieces around them. And then when I kind of made that jump, I think I just got more involved and I wanted to create these sort of worlds or environments. So, yeah, that's sort of what they became. And the shows I was doing were like, I'd like people to sort of enter the room and then feel like they were engulfed in what the painting would be. So there'd be paintings on the wall, but I'd always try and do some sort of crazy installation thing or incorporate other artists. Like I remember this wonderful show we had in St. Kevin's Arcade where the Alleluia Cafe used to be. I used to do a lot of shows in there. And we had an opera singer and a Chinese dragon dancer. So I love it to feel very festive and like this whole kind of experience, not just like you're looking at art, but kind of everything going on all at once.
Yeah,
it's quite intense.
Which fits so well with your work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gorgeous. And your characterization is sometimes often women, as you said, but also you kind of personify things that are things like, how do we put it? You personify non-human things to make them human.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, totally. So I think that probably comes a little bit from my love of Asian art and Japanese art, and probably watching lots of kind of Japanese cartoons growing up. But I've always just been such a nature baby, and I feel like that really speaks to me. And I love the idea of there's worlds within worlds. So I think about, there's a beautiful plant over there and what world might exist in there. And I love the idea of them all having personalities and energies, and that's quite fun to explore. And when I make a painting, I can just get completely carried away because all of a sudden I'm like transported to this place. And sometimes it's frustrating to start and there's all those process challenges. But when you get into a flow, it's almost like the characters all just sort of take over and start talking to each other. And it's like this beautiful symphony. It's really, I feel like at that point that I'm there making it, but it's almost just coming through. It's a completely different process and it's super lovely. It's what makes me want to do it.
Yes, what a gorgeous process.
It is.
Yeah, and then your artworks, for the viewer, I think the viewer experiences a similar thing. Like you're just kind of transported and taken away and into this beautiful
I hope so.
World. Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of I hear from a lot of people that know my work or have collected it that they will have a painting and they're like, oh my God, I've just noticed this other thing in there or this funny little interaction that they hadn't spotted before. So yeah, that is really lovely.
And do you ever think about a story to begin with, or is it something that just evolves naturally as you work?
No, it just evolves. Yeah. So it'll be a very loose theme, like I'm going to paint some plant people or this one's going to be under the sea, and then it will just all come together. But I'm feeling like a little bit at not a crossroads, but I'm in this funny space at the moment where I've been feeling deeply like this transition period in my work, and I feel like I know what that's going to look like, but it's a funny thing making the jump. And I think I've been thinking a lot about residencies lately and how important that is for artists, and I'm not sure how I do that with my two girls in my family, but I think that's so important, allowing that space and time just to not have the pressure of making a show or a commission, and just to go deep and get wild and make stuff that isn't what you'd ordinarily be making.
Yeah.
See what else is in there.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. Are we allowed a sneak peek into what this might be?
Well, I feel like it's maybe just less busy, because the paintings I've been making for the last few years are very chaotic and turbulent and bright and intense. And I feel like they're going to change a lot from that, and maybe going back to more solo sort of characters, and softer, and experimenting with different paints and styles. I've got my airbrush, which is one of my earliest tools I used to use all the time, and I haven't really touched that for like a decade. So bringing that back into it and experimenting with oils. I don't know, I just want to go sort of softer. I don't know how it will look yet. It's just the feeling I have, like I'm ready for the change. And maybe bringing photography back in as well, which I haven't done for the longest time, or not in a professional sense. So it'd be interesting to just play and see what happens.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah. And I guess you will naturally just, hold on to that sort of misery feel, which will keep collectors happy potentially. Or are you feeling like you're just going to go right out there and leave some of that behind?
No, it's so fun. At the moment, I'm working on some new pieces for the Auckland Art Fair. It's happening in April. And I just signed with Bergman Gallery at the end of last year. And my sister was like, I hope you're not going to just show up at the art fair with all these strange abstracts. Like Bergman Gallery might be a little bit shocked.
Oops. It's not what we were expecting.
Yes, now that I'm a represented artist.
And that's exciting, isn't it?
It is exciting.
That's quite a big moment for you.
It's such a huge change for me. And I felt when I was asked by Bergman Gallery, I was a little bit like, oh, really? Like, I'm not sure. I think it was almost this feeling of, like, I was so grateful and honoured to be asked, but also a little bit like, oh, no, I don't know if this is my space. And I think I've just been doing it myself for such a long time. And I got a little bit thrown about how it might be. But now that I've made that decision, it feels so right. And I've really realised all the beautiful opportunities that could come out of that. Yeah. And also the pressures it takes away from doing it all yourself. Yeah, so it'll be wonderful.
That's really exciting.
To working with them.
Yeah, and that's in K Road, that gallery.
Yes.
And you did have a group show there last year, didn't you?
Yes, we had the A Place to Call Home group show, which was all about New Zealand Asian artists. So I was lucky to be included in that for the very small percentage of Chinese heritage, that I have.
Beautiful, and lovely artists like Bev Moon. Yes,
I've just made the most exquisite work.
I love her work. Yeah, she does like dumplings and sort of Asian cuisine often, isn't it?
Yes, I think she does. Her art practice is all kinds of different things, but she's quite known for her crocheted yum cha.
Yeah,
her little knitted chicken feet.
Oh, they're so amazing!
Absolutely amazing.
I have actually I've messaged her a few times about coming on the show.
Oh, good.
And I think she might like to at some point.
Oh, she'd be wonderful to interview.
Yeah, Bev, if you're listening. We're still keen. And I guess that was the sort of introduction to the Bergman Gallery, that group show. Yeah. And then they came and asked, which is amazing.
Yeah. And there's another couple of artists that show with Bergman. Ben and Raymond are both represented by Bergman, and they are both also in my graffiti crew, TMD. So that already felt sort of quite homely, knowing that they were there, and they speak so highly of the gallery and being a part of that world. So that was definitely a good influence on my decision too.
That's so brilliant. Yeah. It seems to be a great fit for you.
Yeah, and I love that they're very sort of focused on Polynesian and Asian art as well. I think that's quite unique for Auckland Gallery. Yeah.
And speaking of your ancestry and your culture, you are Chinese descent and Tahitian.
Yeah.
So how does that come into your
That's
practice?
through my mum's side. So her mum is half Tahitian, half Chinese, but born and raised in Tahiti, and same with my mum, born in Tahiti, raised a little bit there, a little bit in New Guinea. She's all from all over the place.
Wow.
So I guess we've always been very connected to our Tahitian heritage. We felt more connected to that, obviously, because Meme was there, and growing up she was a huge part of our lives, like another mum, I suppose, for us. And then we didn't really know very much about the Chinese part of the family until she'd passed, and we started to connect with more family over there. But it's funny because we've always been very drawn to Chinese medicine, or I don't know, Asian art, and this kind of aesthetic of it. It's always felt quite homely, and it's interesting, isn't it? Like, it's not a huge part of our lives, but we always felt quite drawn to that.
Yeah, it's in your DNA, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. So it's been it was funny to be asked to be included in the show to represent Asian art, where I was like, oh, really? Like, I don't know if I'm worthy of it, but I think that I felt good about it because it is such an influence in my own work, and I often take elements from Chinese or Japanese sort of culture or aesthetic, so it's nice to really make that connection, and maybe that is why I do it, because it feels sort of quite natural for me.
Yeah, and what are the actual elements in your work that you feel connect with your culture?
Well, I feel like through doing my painting that I'm trying to make some sort of like history or family connection to it all. It's interesting. So I guess the characters, firstly, like that's such a, if you go to anywhere in Asia, there's always character art on all the packaging and everything's very characterized and personified.
And anime, I guess.
Yeah, like that. But also just, I guess, all the kind of spiritual aspects of it as well. And folklore. I love all the kind of old traditional stories, not just from Asian cultures, but everywhere. There's something just so special about that kind of old wisdom and old wives' tales, and I love it. I find it so fascinating and feeding that into your work. But yeah, I suppose I paint lots of dragons and just even the colours and the aesthetic. It feels kind of...
And even the use of ink with the brush.
Yeah.
Has that sort of Japanese connection in a way.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Interesting. So back to the Bergman Gallery. What have you got planned for 2024 with them?
Well, at the moment, the Auckland Art Fair is the next thing on the cards. That's in April. And then probably a show later on in the year, but not a confirmed date yet.
A solo show?
Yes. So I think because the gallery is sort of like two big rooms, I think we're planning to do like two solo shows coinciding next to each other.
Nice.
Yeah, which would be lovely.
And having the gallery there, is that encouraging you, do you think, to go this slightly different way and to move through this transition? Or do you feel like it might actually make you think maybe I need to kind of stick with some of the work that I have been doing?
Oh, that's a good question. It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. So the work that I'm making for the art fair that I'm currently working on, I desperately want to do something wild and different, but I know that I don't have the time right now to go down that path. So it's sort of similar to the work I've been making in the last year. So the art fair work will be similar to what's been happening already, but hopefully the next show I'll have space between then to experiment and maybe do something a little bit different.
And with this residency that you're going to find?
Yes, well, I need to investigate. I've seen some that you can do with your family, which could be good or it could be
bad.
Could be really bad.
Yeah, that could add
another element. I need to do the residencies.
Yes,
to get
exactly.
Away from them all.
Yeah, and to sort of change that routine that you get into with family life.
Yes.
Yeah.
My friend Tiffany Singh, who's an incredible artist, and she has two little babies basically the same age as my girls. Well, they're not babies anymore. But she's done quite a few family residencies, and I've found that so inspiring. So, I don't know, look into it.
That's great. I talked to Tiffany on the podcast. Have you?
Oh, good. No, I haven't listened.
Yes, you have to have a listen.
I will.
Yeah, she's amazing. Really so inspiring person. Yeah. We talked about earlier your connection to the commercial side of your practice, and you have been amazing with that, and very successful, and you've done a lot of collaborations with big brands like New Balance and Baby-G, Casio and Telecom, and Serato, and even Anna Sui of New York, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear more about that idea of collaborating, an artist collaborating with a brand, how you made that happen, and what came of that.
Okay. Well, I think that, one artist that comes to mind when I think about mixing fine art with commercial product is Takashi Murakami. Do you know his work?
No.
So do you know the Louis Vuitton bags with the little flower symbols? So those are his characters. And in the Queensland Art Gallery, I think they have the Asia Pacific Triennial exhibition. And I remember going to the Queensland Art Gallery when I was 14 years old, and it was the first time I'd seen his work, and he had this enormous, giant, inflated mouse head in the middle of the gallery, and I was just blown away. Absolutely loved it. So I've always followed his work, and I think he's a really great example of bridging commercial product with fine art. So it has always, I think that inspired me a lot, and probably through doing the clothing label and Misery becoming a brand, it was just sort of already happening. So I've been lucky to make some really beautiful collaborations with other brands that I really admire, and I think that that's the ticket, is just making sure they align with who you are and your values, and you're not putting it on like a McDonald's label or something that has to really connect with what you're about. And so I've been really lucky to do some beautiful collaborations in the last little while. I've done 2 blunt umbrellas, which have been wonderful. They're a great example of a brand that I feel really connects with what I'm about to. New Zealand brand, just doing so well in the world, and excellent design, great quality, beautiful. So I don't know, I don't want to do heaps of them, but when the right one comes along, I think it's nice to sometimes. And it's also another way for people to know your work, that might not be into art or understand art or how to find you otherwise. That's
right. Yeah. It becomes more accessible to sort of greater communities, I guess.
Yes.
And how do they find you? How do you find them?
Well, I think that you just do your thing. And I think nowadays, now that there's like social media and everything's plastered all over the internet, like there's always people scouting for interesting artists to collaborate with. So I don't know, I think I've just learnt not to, it's taken me a long time, but not to adapt too much, not to change my shape to fit into someone else's form. Just like do what you do, and then if people love that, then they will come to you.
So people have just out of the blue messaged you.
Yeah.
That must be so amazing.
It is amazing. I think that's a very cool thing about being an artist in New Zealand though too, because we're quite a little place, like big enough but small enough to be noticed. But you're being noticed by international brands as well. I mean, is it that you are amazing with your social media and getting your product out there or your work out there, or is it just purely they love your work? I think that a lot of those international ones have just come through travel and connecting with people. And it's interesting, like sometimes you'll go off to do something, and later on down the track something else will happen from that, even if you hadn't intended it to. But just interacting with people, all those things count, I think. Like sometimes in my life, if I feel like, it's not going the way I'm wanting right now, I'm not making enough art, and I'm doing other things, they always seem to come back to something positive later on anyway.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I guess it's just like trusting in that.
Yeah, it's just part of the process, I guess, and being patient. But, I mean, it is amazing for most of us. It feels like something that is quite unachievable, to make those kind of connections and have those kind of brands, working with them.
That might be the beauty of that art scene as well, and that whole sort of doing it yourself outside of the fine art world, and especially with sort of graffiti stuff and travelling to do mural festivals, or through the clothing, I suppose, travelling to do exhibit and stuff like that. You just sort of meet other people, and I don't know. It's quite cool. And I think also in New Zealand, because we're so far away from the rest of the world, you kind of become quite good at starting things and doing it yourself a little bit. I think you're a bit more driven.
And it's that sort of Kiwi mentality as well.
Yeah. But it's also so important to travel. Like I really definitely know that. And so many of those things wouldn't have been able to happen if I hadn't been able to do that. So I feel very, very lucky.
So that's so good. And is that part of your sort of TMD community of graffiti artists? Is that where the travel opportunities started?
Some of it has, like definitely later on, like being able to go to Hawaii and do the Powwow Festival, which is just such a beautiful festival. It's a really amazing thing to be a part of. And it's just so nice to be in this hub of artists that do similar things to you, but from all over the world. That's been a great way to connect.
Yeah, it would be. And then you have shown your work in places like Paris and,
Yes.
How?
So the Paris one came through also through Graffiti, another artist that I know who was with a gallery in Paris, and she invited me to exhibit there. So it's wonderful.
It's just having those connections, isn't it? So, I mean, what would your advice be to people listening on how to sort of get out there and how to make those connections?
Well, I think it's easier in some ways now because of Instagram and everyone's on there. So I think just be productive and proactive and get all your work out there, but also write to message other artists that you admire, just connect with them. That's something I used to do like before Instagram. Like even just I'd send other artists that I really admire, I'd write them a little note, a little letter, and make them a picture and just send it because it's special. Even now if I get like a little message like that, it means so much to me. It's like, I'm doing something that's worth something. Like people like admiring that, and it's making them feel good. So it's really special. I think connection and grabbing opportunities and not being afraid to just get out there and communicate. Share your ideas. And
looking at what's out there, like what festivals and that you could be a part of. But then it is hard. It's often expensive for New Zealanders to travel.
Yeah.
So that can be a problem for some people.
Definitely. It's a really good point, especially now. It's so expensive to travel.
Yeah. It's a tricky one. I think there's a lot of artists in New Zealand who haven't really managed to get out of New Zealand, and I know there's people who want to, and it's one of their kind of goals for the future, but I think it's quite hard to just make that move to become more international.
Yeah. Then just take the steps here, like get seen here, and then I think it's a natural progression. But there's like lots of even not serious art shows, but like festivals or lots of public art things that you can be a part of. It's all just getting out there, I think, showing the world what you do.
And I think that street art mural community is so strong that's a great conduit in a way.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though they used to be competitive, but now it just seems amazing. You look people like Cal Sunshine, who I talked to, and Stephen Templar,
so well.
Amazing artists who are so supportive of each other and so generous.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's really lovely.
It's really lovely. Oh, that's very exciting that you've done work like that. And how did you actually come up with the design for something like the blunt umbrellas?
The first one, I think it was a very open brief. So I just thought water and goldfish. I love those Aranda goldfish. They're really chubby ones. So I just wanted to paint those, and it had a very Chinese vibe as well. Yes, that one's all goldfish and fans. And then the next one, which is also very Chinese, was for the Chinese Lunar New Year of the rabbit. So that was released last year. So that was Water Rabbit Year. So it was just bunnies and beautiful flowing rivers and lotus flowers. Yes, they're such a joy to work on because they're just fun.
Yeah.
And it's nice thinking about how your work is going to fit on an odd shape sometimes, like just taking it out of context.
Yeah.
And the first one I did, it took me so long. I was cutting out like these triangle-shaped panels and trying to fit all the stuff on. It was a bit of a nightmare, but it all came together.
Yeah. And for that process, do you make a design on the computer to fit the umbrella?
Yes, the second, both of them in the end, I ended up just making the characters like palm size and then scanning them and then spending time laying them out rather than the other way around. It's a real headache.
Yeah, I can imagine. And what was the work that you did with New Balance?
No work with New Balance. I was just like a sort of brand ambassador for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was like sponsored.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Also great. Free stickers.
Yes, I love it. Why did they come to you?
I'm not sure. I guess because of the genre of work I do or something, or maybe because I'm a female, like I'm not sure. There's not a huge amount. There is getting more women now, but there hasn't in the past been a huge amount of women doing graffiti or street. Not that that's like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I get very boxed into that, and I've always felt like that's something I do, but it's not the only thing I do. Like I feel like it's quite broad, and I'm still discovering it.
Totally.
Very much so.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah, but it's funny because I guess people also assume that if you do graffiti art, you must be into like hip hop culture and all the things, which I've kind of always been on the outside of that too. I admire it. I love it. I love being a part of it. But I don't know, quite like I love like community has so much good, and I feel like that really fuels me. But I've also feel very solo, and I'm always a little bit on the outside. I like my own time, and I'm quite introverted in that respect.
Yeah. Which is, it is great that you can honour that side of your personality as well.
Yeah, it is great. Yeah.
And you also had another commercial venture with Misery Guts, which was like a children's retail kind of design store.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I run that with my friend Shelley Robinson, and we actually met through doing a beautiful charity workshop up in Mae Sot, which is a little town on the border of Burma and Thailand. Shelley had been working for a charity called Spinning Top, and they were sending artists up to this school up in Mae Sot to do workshops and teach these kids that were from Burma but had to leave their homeland because of all of the war and trouble happening in there. So it was a really special project going up there and working with these children and doing all these art workshops. And through meeting Shelley, I'd been thinking about making a little kids design brand, like just quite cool, fun artwork for kids' rooms. And she had also wanted to do a storybook. So we started to collaborate and developed Misery Guts. We just started that about 10 years ago now. It's been going for quite a long time, but through that time she had just had young children and I had my two girls. So a lot has changed and happened. It's sort of found its own rhythm where it kind of just continues on now, and we're not super involved on a day-to-day basis, which has actually been quite good for me. Just life is so busy, running a family and then trying to find some time to be an artist amongst that as well.
Yeah. But that is amazing, and that was again using your characters, wasn't it? And sort of
so we started off, we had this vision to kind of create these room decorations and kids artwork, but all sort of fair trade made or as much made in New Zealand as possible. So we've done a lot of felt products. It's New Zealand wool, and it's made in Nepal. I don't know how that works, but the New Zealand will get sent there, and they it's all fair trade made, and it's just beautiful quality. So we make these felt cushions and
tush kush,
love
those,
and some lovely artwork and kids decorations.
That's great. I mean, it feels like that's sort of just ticking along now. It's not your main focus, but it could always be something that you dip back into.
It could, absolutely,
if you wanted to.
Yeah,
and it's a great experience creating something like that. Then could sort of divide and be other things in the future, which is quite good.
It is good. Always found it like kind of nice to make big expensive artworks, but also have products or prints or something that are a little bit easier for people to afford and have in their homes. So that's a nice thing to do too,
having that variety. So we haven't actually talked about your process. Do we want to talk about this?
Sure.
Okay, I'd be very interested. So let's think about maybe the first 2 or 3 paintings that we have on your blog post. Can you just talk to us about, how you get started and your process throughout?
Okay, so I generally always get started by drawing. That's, I generally always get started by drawing. So forever I've always had my trusty sketchbook, and that's something I can just come back to if I'm feeling stuck. And it's just a lovely way of getting ideas out without the pressure of like, I have to make this fantastic painting. What's it going to be? And yeah, it's a very fluid, just relaxing process of drawing in the sketchbook. And I always come back to those if I'm feeling stuck in a work, like, oh, something needs to go in here and I'm not sure what. And I'll just go through my drawings, and then often there'll be something in there that I'm like, that's what it is that needs to come in. So I always start with drawing, and then I'll have maybe a loose concept for the show. And sometimes not. Sometimes it just comes together and I make one painting, and that's going to determine what the whole show is. In fact, that's usually how it works. And I think that's a time factor thing. So I'll just start with one canvas. At the moment, I'm so into painting just the backgrounds, and I get to the point where I'm like, I'm so happy doing this, and I could maybe just not do any characters on it and it would feel good.
Wow.
So I think that it won't be like the final direction, but I think that that's where I'm feeling of like really focusing more on the background and just the colours and the way the paint moves, and then putting some character elements into it, but they won't be the main focus, perhaps. Just softer and more spacious, maybe.
Lovely.
We'll see. So yeah, the process usually starts with me painting the backgrounds, and then I use a chalk pastel and I loosely sketch out the composition of where the characters are going to be, and then I paint the character shapes with a flat colour, and then it's a lot of layering, and then the line work last, and then usually some washes over the top of that.
And are you using oils?
I use acrylics. I've just started playing with those water-based oils, which is super fun too.
And they've got the same sort of qualities as
they
acrylic.
do, yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
they're
lovely to work on. I think I've always steered away from oils because I change my mind a lot, and I'm also quite impatient.
Yeah, so many people say that. The non-oil painters always say that.
Like I always have my hairdryer on hand. Like, I'm going to dry this, I'm going to paint over it. That's another one of my main tools, my hairdryer.
And the line work at the end, is that with a soft brush that feels, it does have that sort of calligraphy feel.
Like either 0, 1, 2 or 3 brush, and just those cheap green ones from the art store, the Da Vinci ones, because I go through them, but they work for me.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, so
and what is the ink?
I've been using the golden, it's an acrylic, but it sort of moves like ink. I use that a lot, and I've always used India ink forever. Yeah, I'm also really feeling like moving away from line work, so that will be interesting too, because that's so I guess iconic to my style is that line work.
Yeah,
but
and the black.
I feel like I'm just maturing a little bit
My
from the style.
Wow.
So we'll see what happens.
That is fascinating. I can't wait to see where you go with this.
Me too.
Yeah, and how it feels for you.
The other thing I should probably mention with my process is, which I do need to change this way I work, but I generally work under pressure, which isn't healthy. I really need to change that, and I kind of just spend 3 or 4 weeks in my room with not a lot of sleep, and it's a crazy process. I just get in there, and it's just me and the paintings, and it's great, and I just feel like they all communicate with each other, and this beautiful flow starts happening. But I need to really figure out how to integrate that into just a daily practice rather than lumping it all into a short space of time, because it becomes it's almost quite ritualistic, and you kind of feel, I don't know, like you're in another place when it's happening.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's almost like a little bit hallucinating or something.
Surreal environment that you put yourself in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's, just sometimes that's how people work.
I think so. Well, I think also since having children, it's become very much that way. And, gone are the days of being able to stay up all night and just make something. So often when it comes down to crunch time, I do have to work like that, but I'm significantly trying to change the way I produce work now.
And do you enjoy having that deadline, or sort of things through your year that you're working towards?
Yeah, I do need deadlines very much, and I do like that. I like to know I've got these 3 major things happening throughout the year, but I really struggle to start work early. It's not usually till, there's not much time now. I've really got to get into that.
Yeah. And how do you work your day or your week? How does your week look in general? Juggling being a busy mum and all the amazing things that you do.
Well, my husband Tom, who's an amazing support person to me, and always, I guess, knows me so well and sees my whole practice, and he's a very sort of black and white kind of guy. So he's like, right, you just need to drop the girls at school, come home, and then treat it like a job. Like, put your phone away. That's such a insanely terrible distraction. We're reading that book about breaking up with your phone at the moment. So helpful. Get rid of all the distraction and then just be in that room from 9 a.m. till 2:30. Treat it like a job. Yeah. So I found it really hard, but I'm starting to learn.
It is hard, isn't it?
It's so difficult.
Yeah, it's
because there's always things to do, and also working from home. I'm like, I'll just do the kitchen or do some washing, and then I'll go make art. But I find it hard to transition from being a mum and looking after our home and then doing some emails and then switching on creative brain. It's really hard, and sometimes it's not there. And I think at that point I'm lucky because I've actually got a beautiful garden studio like you've got here, and I love gardening, and that's sort of another big creative release for me. So I love just being able to pop out there, do some gardening or drawing or something, and often that will really help, and then come back into the studio.
Resets.
Yeah.
It's a hard one, isn't it, juggling the week? And I don't allow myself to garden during the week because I feel like it's too much of an indulgence.
Do you?
Yeah, I save it for the weekend because then I feel like it's, I should be working during the week. And
that's
when you're
when
you're self-employed, it's like I have got really good at thinking some days actually I can take time out now because I'm up to date. I've done everything I needed to do, and I might go and maybe meet a friend for coffee. I kind of allow myself that, but for some reason gardening is just too much of a treat.
I feel like it's a luxury or something.
Yeah.
That's
even
so interesting.
Same with reading a book.
Yes, I'm very much like that with reading books too. I can't really do it unless I'm on like a holiday
on
at
holiday.
Beach.
I know, I'm the same. I love it when you've got so much time that you can just dive into that book and just read and read and read. And that's when I love reading. But I don't like taking little snippets of reading.
No, I'm the same.
Yeah. It's really interesting, the stuff that we put ourselves through. And, sometimes we're not being fair on ourselves, really. And it's just we're asking too much of ourselves,
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure.
And it's a lot of sort of mind stuff. It's in your own head. Often it actually wouldn't make any difference to anything if you, say, went into the garden. But in your own head, you're thinking, I can't justify that because blah, blah, blah. To
learn to rewire it. I think when I go into the garden, I won't do anything massive, but I'll maybe pluck some weeds, or I find it really grounding. And it's also, it kind of gives me this line of focus. Like it's quite meditative. And so my brain stops fluttering around like, I've got to do all these other things and do emails and go pack some orders or whatever, or drive and get this thing. I just am immediately calmed and focused, and then I can kind of go back in and
it's quite
something.
it's a very mindful activity, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
I think it's important to have, when your job is doing something creative, to have other creative things in your life that aren't making art, like gardening. I love cooking. Our whole family are really into food and cooking, so I find that really create like a good creative release as well.
Yeah. Totally. And you can kind of lose yourself, which is good, and sort of let your mind head off and wherever when you're gardening or doing those kind of activities. It's quite and that probably in turn is good for your practice because you're processing some of that creative stuff that you need to kind of work through.
Absolutely.
And then you're ready to go back to your work.
Yeah. And it's also, I think it's kind of inspiring for me because so much of the paintings I make at the moment are related to plants and mostly about gardens. I guess that's just because what's around me every day. But that's quite inspiring too.
Yeah, and you showed me photos of your beautiful tropical garden with your banana palms and other amazing things. And yeah, we're very lucky here in New Zealand, aren't we? That
we're so
the gardens,
lucky.
Well, most stuff grows in Auckland anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's becoming
the world
quite
is your
tropical
oyster
now.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Anyway, it's good for gardening types to be listening to us talking about gardening, but it might not be
everybody
interesting for other people. But I do find quite a few of my guests have been into gardening, which is interesting. Anyway, moving on, out of the garden, can we just go back to 2015 where you collaborated with John Oz and made very beautiful bronze sculptures for K Road?
Yeah.
Yeah, how did that come about?
So that was through Auckland City Council, and I saw an email pop up about expressions of interest to create a children's playground actually for kids living in the inner city travelling to school, and they wanted to sort of create these spaces where children could have something fun and childlike and playful in these quite urban centres. So I put together a proposal to make these kind of quite fun misery land playgrounds. I thought this was an excellent concept and so fun. I was like, yes, I'm such a child. Like, this is so fun, like a dream job for me. So I put that together, and it came down between my proposal and Pack Studios, who are architects, but they'd made this amazing rainbow light machine. So they got the two of us, and then through that process, the brief changed to being an art sculpture instead, which was fine. So at that point, I was like, okay, I think that I want to make bronzes, because I was like, what's going to like last forever? And, you know, with doing murals and stuff, they don't last forever. It's quite temporary. But I was like, what a beautiful idea to have these bronzes, especially at K Road, because that's been like part of my life since we've lived in New Zealand. My mum is a costume designer, worked for the Auckland Christmas Parade, so it was always based around there. So I've spent lots of time around K Road. And obviously, like, all my graffiti and street stuff sort of started around there. So I felt very honoured to be able to have these two pieces at K Road. So I had to do a little bit of research around, they wanted the characters or the sculptures to relate back to the area. So the one with the elephant is about, can't remember what year it would have been, maybe 50s. When did the song The Twist come out? Is it like 50s?
Probably 50s,
like rock and roll?
Or 60s.
Yeah. So when George Court was like a department store, they had a rooftop garden that in the summer holidays would become a circus up there on the roof. And a family friend of Tom's used to work in there as a teenager, and one of his first jobs was taking this elephant, a baby elephant, up and down the elevator shaft to the rooftop.
Really?
For all these children to see, and they'd put on the radio and listen to The Twist, and the elephant would kind of like rock around.
Oh my God.
And I was like, this is such a bizarre thing to happen on the roof, like so unkosher. Like,
it wouldn't happen
like
now,
that
would it?
happen.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought it was comical and lovely at the same time. So that's what that piece is about. A little girl dancing with her elephant. The other one is a little Asian boy having a sort of a fight over a radish with a piglet, and that's from very, very early days of Karangahape Road. Was all farmlands and lots of Chinese grocers up there, and they'd have issues with livestock coming and stealing the vegetables off the front shelves. So I don't know, they're just very simple, cute little stories of how K Road once was many, many years ago, so different to how it is now.
That is really cool.
Yeah, it's super lovely seeing children interact with them.
Yeah, and they're kind of child size.
They are, yeah.
Which is nice.
So fun. And actually, because we have our tattoo studio on Cross Street, my husband's a tattooer, and we have Sunset Tattoo. So Tom's around there all the time, and he's actually made this amazing sort of photo documentation of all the different situations of these bronzes with all different kinds of funny outfits. There's one K Road local character, and it's almost like she treats them like a shrine, particularly the boy in the radish one, and she'll come and dress him up, put beanies on him and her bra sometimes,
Really?
and lay out a little platter like snacks and stuff and hang out with him. It's beautiful.
Oh my God.
So, all kinds of funny situations, but it's such a nice photo story
That
of
is amazing.
all the different interactions. So it's not just children that
interact.
that enjoy it. Yeah.
And I mean, that would be a beautiful thing for you to look at with your photography, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be.
And you can imagine it as a short film,
Yes.
creating something around those sculptures.
You could. It'd be really cool.
Beautiful. And they're still there 8 years later, and being bronze, they will be there for a long time, hopefully.
And the process of making them was really, really fun for me too, because have been always such a sort of 2D artist. So for this piece, I asked my friend John Osborne, or John Oz as he's known, to help me out with these. So he's a set props designer for film, and that's how I knew him, was like kind of working with him on the odd art department job. And he'd made some sculptured head molds for me before, so I said, do you think you'd be able to help me develop these in bronze? Like, I've never learned how to do that. So the whole process was just so fascinating to learn, and it's definitely something I'd love to look at doing more of.
I can see you doing more of that.
I think I do them so differently now too. It's funny how you like grow and change in quite a short space of time.
What would be different?
I think I'd, again, probably do something more simple but bigger and bolder and maybe colourful. I really love like those Jeff Koons really super shiny spun aluminium balloon dogs. Like, I don't know, something that you just see from miles away and be like, what's that?
Yeah.
Take me to it now.
Yeah.
Just before I did that commission, Tom and I had got married actually, and we were travelling around Europe, and that was actually incredible timing because there's just so much public art everywhere. It made me feel a bit sad for New Zealand, like this is really something we've got to work on, because I think it's so important, it's so inspiring, and I don't know, what a wonderful way to exist, like being around work like that, or going to parks that are dedicated to sculpture art. So cool.
Yeah, and some of those, like that beautiful large buoy, I think is it Balmoral Road or Dominion Road?
Potter's Park.
Yeah, that is incredible. And I'm sure, you know, the beauty of public art is the way everybody can connect and engage.
Yeah.
You know, it's so sort of accessible.
Yep, it is.
And yeah, I love this. I love the sound of misery large sculptures around New Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always thought that one day if I had oodles of money to spend on this, I'd love to just get a whole lot of land and then make my own sculpture park, not just with my work, with just curated, and have this amazing public space where people can come in.
Yeah, like the Alan Gibbs.
Like Alan Gibbs. So I think that's
sculpture.
very exclusive, and you can only get invited to do that maybe once a year or something.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit more accessible.
Yes, and wouldn't it be great if it was almost like a sort of sculpture park where children were encouraged to play and interact with work at the same time?
It would be wonderful.
Oh my God, I love
maybe
that idea.
Maybe you could stay there too, like camp or like some sort of place where you could soak it all in.
We need to find a good sponsor.
Yeah,
make it happen. Anyone listening, interested, get in touch. Wouldn't that be cool?
It'd be wonderful.
Okay, so Tanja, let's get on to the questions for you. What would you say to your younger artistic self?
I think that I would probably tell myself to not be afraid to just get weird, just to really not be so self-conscious. I mean, it's so hard to say because when you're your younger self, there's so much learning and discovering of who you are. But I think I'd probably just tell myself to really believe in myself more, and it's okay not to conform to being a certain way, like be as weird as possible. And by doing that, by being your true self and expressing yourself in that way, that's what will draw others to you, I think. I think there's been lots of times where back then I was obviously like a lot younger and self-conscious and probably just jumping on all kinds of opportunities, which is really wonderful. But I think learning and knowing to say no to the ones that don't fit with who you are is really important. So I think backing myself and really trusting in being an artist and making art, trusting in that creativity and not feeling like I need to do something else to be an artist.
And what would you say is one of your biggest challenges as an artist?
I think structure for me is massive. Motherhood is really challenging, finding the space and time, and prioritizing creativity is hugely challenging for me. I'm getting better at it. But yeah, probably process is very frustrating for me sometimes. You just want it to work, and I have to accept that sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay. Like, that's just all part of it. So, yeah.
Part of the journey.
Part of the journey.
And who are the artists who inspire you in your work?
Well, that's a really tricky question because there's so many. But at the moment, I'm really obsessed with this beautiful artist called Miriam Khan. Have you seen her work?
No.
She's a Swiss artist. And I think she was born around the 40s, and she does these amazing sort of like abstract. They're usually portraits, but sometimes they can be like animals or something, and they're quite like raw, very feminist, but they can also be quite like sexual and violent, but for some reason they still look very beautiful. She uses like incredible color, and they're very like intense and quite ethereal looking, very, very cool. I feel very, very drawn to her style at the moment, and I think just her use of color and the simplicity thing as well. I love them. I think they're wonderful. I'd love to see some in real life. So definitely Miriam Khan. And then this other artist I've come across just through Instagram, her name's Ray Klein, and she's from the States, and she just paints, I brought one of her pictures to show you. She paints these like very...
Wow.
They're cool, aren't they?
Yes.
They're quite haunting, ethereal, almost surrealist, like sort of portraits and still lives. I just think they're magical, and I adore them. I think she's such a great painter. It's also like so admirable to see young artists with such incredible talent.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow.
I saw
Beautiful.
on your Instagram that there was sort of, you were exploring portraiture in a way that had more similarity to that.
With the watercolors.
Yeah.
That's just been so liberating for me. I think like being able to make some work that's just so fun and fast paced as well.
And quite different style.
Quite different.
Usual.
It's definitely that thing I was talking about, like some different kind of direction. And not, I think it's being able to lose control as well. And I love that about the watercolor, like putting heaps of water and then you're kind of making a shape, but it's sort of uncontrollable how it's going to turn out. So, she's wonderful. I love her. And then I'd also put my dearest friend, Hannah Maurice, her and I have done quite a bit of work together. And Hannah's sort of like my art soul sister, I suppose. We have a very twin-like energy when we're together, and very sort of playful. It's like hanging out with your best childhood friend and you're like still 5. That's what it's like being with Hannah. But she's just such an inspiration and an incredible painter and maker. She's a beautiful ceramic artist as well. So Hannah Maurice, her Instagram is Honeymoon Sea Studio. She makes divine work. Hugely inspirational for me. And
we might have to get her onto the podcast.
You must get her onto the podcast. She's wonderful. And then lastly, I put down a dear family friend of ours, Peter Hawkesby, who's the most incredible ceramic artist. And he used to own Alleluia Cafe in St. Kevin's Arcade. So when he was a young man, he lived in Japan and he learnt ceramics and also all these incredible Japanese glazes, and he's just so knowledgeable. And then he came back and he did Alleluia for a long time and kind of put his ceramic work on the back burner. But as soon as he closed the cafe, he went straight back into it, and it's like he'd never stopped. It's like he'd just been building this exquisite library of all these beautiful concepts and ideas, and he's just, it's so nice. It's so nice to go to one of his shows, and it gives you such drive, I think. It's beautiful.
Wow,
yeah, he's
I'll look
incredibly
into that.
skilled.
Sounds amazing. And that was such a fantastic cafe, wasn't it?
It was so good, and such an important cafe for so many artists too. And he used to show a lot of us back there, Kate Newby and Seung-O and heaps of us. That's where we did our first illicit group shows, and my first solo shows were in his cafe as well. So it's been such an important space, and sad it doesn't exist anymore.
It is a shame. It's quite an iconic sort of Auckland space, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
As is St Kevin's Arcade.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing.
Absolutely there.
And just speaking about people who inspire you, you speak very fondly about your lovely husband, Tom, or Tom.
Yeah.
You call him, which I love.
Tom.
Love that name. And, I mean, artistically, he must inspire you a lot as, you know, being a tattoo artist and I guess an illustrator.
Yes. He's such an amazing husband and friend and rock in my life. Like, I think Tom and also my sister Meg, they're both like my grounding rock people, and I need that because I get very floaty and distracted and up in the air. But he is, and also his specialty in tattooing is Japanese tattooing. So it's cool. We really connect on that. And
was that the way you connected originally, through your art?
It was through tattooing. I used to work at, sometimes just occasionally, on the tattoo desk at the Tattooed Heart on K Road. And when the tattoo shop was in illicit, so I kind of knew him from then. And it's just K Road in Auckland, so we kind of knew each other from around. But we sort of became friends through, we got commissioned by Carl Stevens to do some stage dressing for the APRA Music Awards, and that was just such a beautiful creative collaboration. So we did all the set dressing through that, and that's how we kind of connected and became friends. But we weren't together till much later after that, and we sort of connected through the tattoo shop, I suppose.
And you've got some beautiful tattoos. Has he tattooed
He's done some
you?
of them, I think, because he's my husband. It seems to be more painful when he does it, and also, you know, he needs to like tattoo people that he'll actually be paid from, probably. Not
true.
me all the time. But he's
so
done
true.
some of them for sure.
It's amazing.
It's so lovely having him around and being able to be inspired by each other.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it,
really
to have that
cool.
connection creatively.
Yeah, and I'm very lucky. He's very sort of businesslike, and he's very talented at it. Never went to school or anything to learn about it, but it's just in his nature, I think. So that's great for me because I'm not like that at all.
Yeah, it's good. It's always good when you have somebody like that backing you up.
100%.
And sorry to interrupt your answers to your questions with that.
Okay.
And last question, why do you make the kind of work you make?
Why do I make the kind of work I make? I guess it's just sort of a reflection of what's happening in my life. But it's also, I think I really like creating these worlds or images that are very playful and fun and not too serious, and that people can really just fall into and fall in love with. I love them being very festive, and they can be quite dark and have dark humour, but there's something still quite joyful and fun and inspiring within that. I was going to say earlier that I think that from Mum doing costuming as well, that's such a huge influence through the work I do. Like, I've always been really into dressing things up or making costumes or these characters with funny outfits and kind of doing weird rituals and stuff like that. It's all quite in there. So, creating these environments or worlds that people can just kind of fall into, like watching a movie when you get taken into that, or reading a book like we were speaking about before and you just fall into it. I think I'm always trying to recreate that. What would it be like to pop in here, and how does that make you feel? And just lifting the vibration for people coming to a show or experiencing some art and then leaving and just feeling super joyful and like, wow, like I've just been on a trip somewhere.
Yeah.
I think I'm always trying to get to that place.
Oh, I love that. That's really beautiful. Well, it's lovely to have you out at Mural and to bring you back to a happy place for you. And it's so nice to chat and connect. And I think your work does that. It brings that joy to people, but I think you do as well as a person.
Thank you, Mandy. That's such a beautiful compliment.
And I wish you a very happy 2024 ahead. I think it's going to be a really exciting time.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.